I want to thank everybody for taking a little of your time to listen to a little bit what I have to say. It's 10:35 at night here in Phoenix, Arizona. I just got back from Butler, Missouri, and I'm still on their time, which is a little bit past midnight. But I want to take this opportunity to talk about an important subject, which is depression. When I was in Butler, Missouri, I had about 3 people come up to me inquiring of me what I did to get over my depression. And so what I want to do is I want to give you some key points, what I did to overcome my depression, because depression doesn't have legs in which it's just going to walk out of your life on its own. It's something that you have to force out of your life. And it's not easy. It's a journey. It's a step by step by step by step by step process. So here are some key things that help me, and I guarantee it could help you if you give it a chance. So number 1, I don't have it in order from like the most important to the least important. So I'm just going to bunch them all together. The first thing, I said the first thing, and I just got done saying I don't have it in order. But the first thing I want to talk about is forgiveness. A lot of times depression, I'm not saying all the time, but in my case, depression was caused by absorbing my mind in regards to certain individuals who I loved and cared about that brought hurt, that brought rejection in my life, that brought the feeling of abandonment, that brought the feeling of I'm not worth anything, no value. And it was awful. I felt betrayed. And so for 8 months, I was in great depression until one day I realized, you know what? I got to forgive this person. I got to take ownership of my pain. And I want to make this very clear. When it comes to forgiveness, it's a journey. It's not just a quick decision and all of a sudden you forgive. It's like making a decision to lose 20 pounds. You make a decision, but you don't lose 20 pounds that day. You just made a decision to take the steps to lose the 20 pounds. So in the same case, when it comes to forgiveness, it may not happen that same day, but you make a decision to take the steps that lead to forgiveness. And once you forgive, it relinquishes so much emotions that were depressing you and taking away your motivation and everything else. So forgiveness is the key. Okay, another thing I want to talk about, like I said, I don't have it in order, but exercise. I really exercise. I ran a marathon. I hiked Piesta Peak 10 times. Now, I'm not telling you that you got to be extreme that way, but exercise is a known fact that it releases endorphins in your brain chemistry that really gives you happiness. And it clears your mind. And so you may not go extreme in your exercises. And by the way, when you're depressed, you do not feel like exercising. But you have to force depression out of your life. Therefore, you got to force yourself to exercise. So even if it's going for a 5-minute walk, even if it's going to the gym for 15 minutes, those little things do add up and they equate to great value in overcoming depression. So exercise. And by the way, being outside, getting vitamin D from the sun, which in Phoenix, Arizona, we have plenty of vitamin D from the sun. You know how hot it gets in Arizona. So that's also good for depression too. So exercise. Number 3, do not isolate yourself. That's like one of the worst things you could do is when you're depressed and all of a sudden you want to crawl back into your cave. You want to isolate yourself in your bedroom. You don't want to go to church service. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to hang out with your friends. You just kind of want to be by yourself. When you isolate yourself, that really strengthens depression and makes depression even stronger. So you don't want to isolate yourself. Surround yourself with people that love you and care about you. And even if you don't feel like being around people, force yourself to be around people that care about you and love you. That's very important. Another thing I want to add is reading positive material. There's a scripture where it says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's so important to renew your mind, to change the way you think. And the only way you can do that is feed good things in your mind. In essence, we are what we think. A lot of times we're depressed because we're thinking on the wrong things. I'm not trying to say that with no empathy, but that was the reality for me. I was just thinking about all the things that went wrong in my life. I was just thinking about all the disappointments. I was thinking about my failures. I was thinking about the people I hurt in my life. I was thinking about all that, and being absorbed by that kind of thinking, it just depressed me even more. So you have to change the way you think. And in order to do that, you have to read positive material. In my case, I was reading the Bible. You got to read positive material to vaccinate your mind with good things to meditate on, to give you a better outlook about yourself, a better outlook about others, a better outlook about trials, a better outlook on life. That's important. And the last thing I'm going to emphasize, and there might be a lot more things that you can do to overcome depression, but I'm just going to narrow it down to some of the things that I did that helped me to overcome depression. The last thing I would like to emphasize is become a servant. In other words, when you're out there helping others, in that small moment, you kind of forget about yourself. And then when you're done helping others, you really feel good about who you are. And when you're serving others, it really comes back and gives you peace and gives you fulfillment and just makes you feel good. Remember, all these things that I'm talking about, you may not want to do, but depression does not have legs. It's not going to walk out of your life on its own. You have to force it out of your life. And so I just want to encourage you today, if you're going through depression, I've been there, and I'm not trying to say my story is worse than your story, because no matter what dark place we're in, dark is dark. You could be in a dark bedroom. You can be in a dark garage. You could be in a dark forest. When it's dark, no matter where you are, it's dark. So in that sense, I understand that darkness. It's a horrible place to be. You feel all alone. And I just want to encourage you, don't give up. Don't give up on life no matter how hard it is. Just keep pressing forward and try your best to exercise, even if it's little. Try your best to read material that's going to change the way you're thinking. Try your best to be a servant to others, to have an opportunity to do good to someone to make you feel good in return. And try your best to forgive. And try your best to not isolate yourself, but be around people that love you. Hey, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. It might take some time, but it is a process. It's a journey, one day at a time. Take care, and thank you so much for listening to this speech or whatnot.